Hello, everybody. So, for my communication theory briefing, I wanted to look at the elaboration likelihood model of persuasion that was developed and coined by psychologists Richard E. Petty and John Cacioppo in 1979. A lot of their research was based on previous literature into societal judgment theory, which says that increased issue involvement leads to greater resistance in whatever you're trying to persuade people about. So, Petty and Cacioppo said that there's two different types of involvement that people can have: issue involvement, whether you feel strongly about an issue or not, and response involvement, where, maybe you don't care so much about that issue area, but you still want to be on the right side of a decision. And as we can all imagine, they found that issues that people relate to themselves are more likely to be something that they'll think more about, or that they'll, actually process the messaging of. And so they looked at high level involvement and low level involvement groups. And to break down what that even means, I'll give you the context of their experiment. So one of their experiments was looking at mixed sex visitation policies at universities. And so for the high involvement group, they got all the information on those policies, but were told that it was going to be implemented at their university. And then for the low level involvement groups, they got the same messaging, but were told that it was going to be implemented at a separate university. And obviously, when you have vested interest in whatever the issue area is, you're going to feel more strongly about it and you're going to have more thoughts on it. But they actually found that low involvement groups produced more counter arguments than high involvement. And they found that, increased involvement was good for trying to get, whatever message you had across. But if the content of your message was not up to par, then that actually persuaded more people to go opposite of your viewpoint. And the whole gist of their theory was that, if you're in a low involvement situation, your brain is kind of on standby, and it does an automatic processing of the messages that you're receiving. But if you're highly involved in the situation, you have a more controlled processing where you break down the information that you're receiving. And so that makes the content of the message so more important. And I think that we can definitely see how this plays out in our judicial system, because I think that if you're serving as a member of a jury, what is more highly involved than that? Because you're really sitting and deciding with a group of, other people, the consequence that this person is going to receive, or you're kind of deciding whether you believe somebody or not. You're literally given the authority to say, oh, you're lying or you're telling the truth. So you're highly involved, you're going to be breaking down so many of their messages. And I think that that's why we've had so many readings about the importance of the content of, attorneys' messages, or even the way that witnesses behave, or the way that they dress, or the way that defendants dress or act. And I think that our courtrooms kind of give a very great micro ecosystem for looking at how high involvement can play out, because these people are really sitting there and doing nothing but only receiving messages from other people. And so they're having to sit there and break it all down. And I think that that's kind of the point of having a jury, was to put them in that highly involved situation so that they have to break down those messages and then come to a decision at the end. And it's of course going to be hard, but the only way that you'll be able to do that is if you are in that highly involved situation. So when I read that, I thought, that's so smart, we've already got it down and they're already doing it. So I think that this theory definitely does play out in our judicial system.